It's Katie Lee, and this is the I Am Z103 podcast.
Hey, Z103, it's Russell. I'm in the studio with Cole Fryer. Cole, can you tell me a little bit how you got into making music?
Yeah. So I would say like when I started making music, was in middle school. You know, I was 12, 13 years old, and I just kind of like got into piano a little bit. And then I was kind of just really interested in how music's made. So I got into producing, YouTube tutorials, all that kind of stuff. Got into like FL Studio, and I just learned from there how to produce music on my own. And then that just kind of led into songwriting. And then that's where I really kind of got into it, was songwriting and singing and learning how to sing and all that kind of stuff.
That's cool. I was looking back on your Instagram and I got back to like you doing piano stuff, like putting the phone up, recording you playing piano. And I think it's cool, like going through your timeline and seeing how you went from doing piano to doing a few things on the computer and then going into producing more and more of your music.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see.
Yeah, it's been an awesome journey. It's been growing like crazy. So that's awesome to see. But yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of your influences in your music? I was talking to my boss today about it, and he said that he heard it kind of sounded like the Post Malone like voice flair type thing in some of your music.
Yeah, so it's funny because like I'm getting more into punk rock. My biggest inspiration influence is actually Mac Miller.
Really?
Yeah, which is just funny because those like not the same genre at all. But I just love his lyricism and all his production, and then also Post Malone. I love Post Malone. And you know, it was just when I started voice lessons, when I started getting to like actually professionally singing, is when people started being like, you know, you kind of sound like Post Malone, which I was like, no, really, what? You know? And so I've just kind of followed through that. And yeah, just growing my voice in a way that I feel like is his kind of style, if that makes sense. But also with my own kind of style on it as well.
Yeah, it sounds like it's also got some of that like more gruff stuff, like holding out the long notes, but also have it kind of be a little gruff along the edges. Yeah.
And I've kind of, my dad is way like butt rock, like AC/DC, you know, and so I grew up kind of listening to that. And there was a time where I was like, I'm not into that kind of stuff. And then, you know, I started making a little bit, especially with Songhouse, and I was like, man, I really love this. So I've just been trying to incorporate that more and more into my voice as I've gotten more into the punk rock scene. But yeah, it's been awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little more about Songhouse? Like, how did you get into that? And what was your experience like?
Yeah, of course. So I first found Songhouse through my mom, actually. Watched them on TikTok, and she loved it. And then she showed it to me, and just as a songwriter, I was like, this is awesome. So what Songhouse does is they do 30-minute writes. So they take like groups of writers, they break them up into 4 groups individually, got a bank of tracks. They go in and they write for 30 minutes. They write a verse and a hook. And then we come out, we film it, and then they post it, and whatever videos go viral, that's what they release with the artists. And they got a pretty big base, so it's a great place to start. So the way I got involved with them though was actually their first ever camp. So they just started doing songwriting camps where it's pretty much the same thing, but we go out, stay on a farm out in Nashville, and you just songwrite and do their 30-minute writes for a whole week. And they bring in speakers. I got to meet John Oates. That was crazy. That was awesome. And yeah, it was a pretty cool start to it. And then after that, we released a video. That's my song coming out. That's Adderall. And it went viral enough for them to release it. And now I just work with them every month and a half. And I plan to move out there and work with them full time.
That's awesome. Let's talk more about Adderall. So that's coming out. It will have come out by the time this interview comes
I got
out
you.
too. Can you tell us a little more about whatever you're comfortable with? Tell us a little more about kind of the influences into writing that song. Like, why are you so passionate about this song specifically?
Yeah, so with Adderall, it's a little bit of a deeper story for me. I'm ADHD, and I have lots of family members who are ADHD. Definitely a genetic thing. And I have family members with like very strong drug addictions. And ADHD is kind of a case where a lot of the drugs that we use that are prescribed by doctors, and they're great. Like if you need to be medicated, that's awesome if it works well for you. And Adderall is just really about my fears about those drugs because they are harder. They're, Adderall and Vyvanse and that kind of stuff. They're harder, like narcotics that you're taking to just feel normal. So if you're taking drugs to feel normal, to me, that sounds kind of it's scary. I mean, it's, again, if you are medicated and that works for you, that's amazing. But there's just fears that I've had. And so going into writing Adderall, it was kind of like, what are my fears? How can I express those fears through my music? And that was the basis for that song.
Awesome. And I think we're going to be able to play, if not the whole song, then at least a clip right after this interview. So stick around to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see, how can we support you? Where do we go to hear more of your music?
So, you can always go to Songhouse, and they're great. They got great stuff up for my music personally. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, every streaming service you have, and now on the radio, which is awesome. That's a big dream of mine. You can go just Cole Fryer, COLEFRYAR. That's on any streaming service. And then Cole Fryer 101 is my Instagram and TikTok handle if you want to go check those out.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, go check out Cole Fryer. And coming up next, we got Cole Fryer's song, Adderall.
Thanks for listening to the IMZ 103 podcast. If you enjoyed the interview, please share, subscribe, and rate the podcast. IMZ 103 is hosted by Katie Lee and is a production of Riverbend Media Group. For more information or to contact the show, visit riverbendmediagroup.com.